Oh, my friends, people are boiling mad right now. Maybe you are one of them. This is Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my report explaining the astrology behind why everybody is so mad right now. You may have started feeling this before January 8th, and you may feel it after January 18th, but the bulk of these heavy-duty aspects that I'm going to talk about in this report are influencing in between around the 8th and the 18th of January. Okay, so what the heck is going on? What are people feeling? Why is this happening? We've got a major sequence of Capricorn planets. We've got Juno, Mercury, Mars, the Sun, Venus, all coming in opposing Jupiter. At the same time, these Capricorn planets are coming and squaring Chiron and Eris, which are conjunct in Aries, the Lord of War. These are labored angles. These are pressured angles. These are stressed angles. Let's talk about what is going on here and what you may be feeling and what other people are feeling around you and why they are so mad. Old emotional wounds are getting reactivated by these chironic stories. Eris is here adding a massive amount of intensity and repressed anger and emotion, possibly repressed over a very long period of time, getting activated to be drawn out now. Feelings like you've held everything together for too long and that you're cracking at the seams. Feelings about unresolved family or childhood patterns. Jupiter in Cancer is bringing that familial aspect here. Feeling overburdened, under-acknowledged, taken for granted. The responsibility of these Capricorn placements, the labor, the weight, the Jupiter in Cancer energies of the emotional contracts, and the nurturing or lack thereof, or over-nurturing, or need for nurturing that is not happening. This feeling like people are doing their more than their fair share and they have had enough, and maybe you are one of them. So this is being activated now. Mars and Venus in Capricorn is, and all of these planets in Capricorn are saying, please respect me. Don't tread on me. And this building, earthly, climbing energy in this angle with Aries, this very direct cardinal energy moving in a finite straight direction, as is all of these aspects are actually all cardinal aspects. So they're very direct in their movements. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer also bringing up, you didn't support me like I supported you, or you're not currently showing up for me the way I'm showing up for you. Chiron is talking about this reminder of a deep hurt that echoes from the past and that whispers of the terrible pattern moving into the future if something isn't done now to correct it. Hidden resentments coming to this critical mass. Jupiter magnifying it. Mars triggering it. Mercury involved. Verbal explosions. Mars involved. Active actions that are explosive. The Sun is involved. Identity clashes. Venus is involved. Money, love, and self-esteem and your inner certainty. Also happening now. Feeling guilt-tripped, emotionally manipulated, and being over it. That weight of obligation, the old family dynamics, the martyr-rescuer or martyr-rescuer polarity of who's going to do the saving, who's going to do the being saved, and just being sick of all of it. All of these energies are coming together saying, I will not be controlled, and the actions and reactions are with anger. People are feeling forced into emotion or logistical decisions. This is a fantastic time for action. I do suggest, if it's possible, don't make your action out of anger. You may make your actions because of anger once you get calm. This way you're not creating negative karma for yourself from the actions that come out. Emotions are going to have to express at this time, and whatever ways you can do to do this as safely as possible without burning bridges can be helpful. So writing a letter before you say something to someone, getting it all out first, having an argument with on paper before you actually, so basically you're trying to get the energy out before you interact with somebody, so that the expression of it isn't the interaction with other people, because that will be the safest way. But it does have to come out. People don't even necessarily have to know it. You can write letters to people and never send them. You just have to be heard and get the energy out. Capricorn here is going to want progress. Cancer is going to want security. Neither side wants to budge. The pressure's there, the anger's there. And while these square placements that are between each of these angles, and this is actually creating a T-square, which is the double energy of two squares on either side, with Chiron, the wounded healer, and Aries, the power and passion of the resentment boiling out right there in the middle. But this pressure also is what is required to make a diamond. So that your diamond polishing could be in process, and wonderful things can come from this. And I will definitely tell you, and I'm going to talk about this in another video. I also talk about this in the horoscopes. By the way, you can see all of that at anniehelpsyou.com/astrology if you want to see my January, my February reports as they come out for each sign. Sometimes they're in individual videos. February is going to be in one video, time-stamped for each sign. Plus, I'm doing around weekly videos for the most notable things of the week. This is one of those such videos, but I will talk about in another video the amazing sweet aspects that we're going to have that start up right as these start to fade out and will express until the end of the month. So we'll talk about that in another video, which you can go on my YouTube channel, you can go to Spotify, or you can see all of my podcasts and my YouTubes in one place at anniehelpsyou.com/astrology. And while you're there, you can grab my written star report with the awesome dates in the month and the terrible dates in the month and what you can expect. So everything is there at anniehelpsyou.com/astrology. Okay, but either way, there is a beautiful sequence of energy that's going to dovetail into this, from this monstrous time. But we got to get through this first. Towards the end of this flow, you are going to start to feel like around the 14th or so, as it's coming to a close, you'll start to see the light come back. You'll see the silver lining, but you're going to have to go through this first, okay? One of the things that's going on here is power dynamics are being rewritten. The tables may turn. Someone who's been oppressed may wind up being the oppressor, and you may feel good at first from that, but then you see it's two sides to the same coin. One of the goals here and one of the possibilities here is transcendence. So rising above the polarity that's pulling in these different directions and more or less drawing and quartering you in the square, you can rise above this and find the solutions. But the way out is through, and the way through, if it can be safely done, is going to create the best outcomes, because it has to express, but it doesn't necessarily have to express dangerously, but it certainly could. All right, so with this rewriting of these power dynamics, we're seeing Mars and Venus and Capricorn with this unequal labor, people not giving fairly. And you may be going through your friendships and all of your relationships and all of even things you're spending money on, everything you're going through with this fine-tooth comb of Capricorn, with discernment and hacking away the fat that is not serving you, hacking away the waste, finding these controlling behavior dynamics, finding this emotional over-responsibility, seeing where these manipulative emotional dynamics are in place, and taking action on these things. When Jupiter is here, it's no small layer here. This is the magnifier of everything. And things are going to feel huge right now because Jupiter is expanding the emotional volume here in Cancer, and in retrograde, kind of going back over things. It's expanding this emotional volume. All right, so some other things that you and other people may be specifically mad about, feeling like you're carrying all the responsibility, the work, the caregiving, the emotional labor, the logistics, the strategizing, the planning, the organizing. Again, not getting the appreciation or the reciprocity. Reciprocity is a huge word right now. Being expected to be the strong one, where you have no other choice than to do that, but you can't keep that up. And some anger may come from that. Someone crossing boundaries. People refusing to take accountability and slipping into this victim state. Things having to do with your needs being acted like they're inconvenient and not relevant. Also, very, very strong possibilities of anger at self from ways that you may have treated yourself or others in the past, kind of like an uprising of guilt and a healing of that, and a moving forward to make better choices. Grief. Suppression and repression are two key words here that are turned on their head as the suppressed and the repressed come out. And along in that anger definitely can be some grief. Keeping your composure for too long. Maybe a time to go axe throwing in a controlled, contained, safe environment. And also just make sure you don't hurt your arm, your rotator cuff muscles while you're throwing, because, it could get a little bit out of control. So anger about time being wasted, anger about opportunities being blocked or missed, long-term imbalances, some real-time things that you can expect here with this Aries element and this triple cardinal energy. Short fuses, quick escalations, enough is enough, rising up. Mercury, again, bringing these intense conversations. Juno and Venus are saying relationships are involved here. The intense conversations may be about these old grievances, and it may get a little bit excessive, during the time of the discussion. If you're not in a safe place, this would be definitely a time to get to a safe place and have the conversation virtually, because there's just so much explosive energy coming out here that you definitely want to be in a safe place. Don't want to be having a conversation like this driving. Don't want to have a conversation like this walking. I'm just trying to think of the different ways that this can manifest to alert you to the things to not do. Exercise can be helpful, but over-exercising can definitely be a thing right now and injuring yourself. Guard your head. Look out for people abruptly setting boundaries. You may be one of them. Kind of this changes now attitude. Things having to do with home and family and work and career, employment, coming to a head. Overdoing either side, or drastic imbalance, or too in both sides of your place out in the world and your place in the world. Demands pulling at you from every direction. Cancer is saying rest. Capricorn saying push. Chiron saying, why always me, and why is this so hard? It's really rough. So people are going to be confronting their unmet needs. Jupiter retrograde is going to be losing a little bit of the optimism in this direction, going backwards. So some negativity, some depressive tendencies coming up at this time. Chiron and the squares bringing this vulnerability. All right, so I'm going to talk about some ways to create constructive channels in order to process this energy in as safe a way as possible and in as productive a way as possible. One way you can start is to name this unmet need. Journal it out, talk it out, get professional help, talk to a friend, whatever you have to do. A lot of this rage right now is coming from an unmet need that is wearing armor. Okay, it's being protected, and it's hemorrhaging now. Something else that you can do at this time is to clarify the boundaries, lovingly but firmly. And again, if this has to be done virtually, if you have to write this out, if you have to have a text discussion, if you think it will escalate too much verbally, the Capricorn energy is very much helping to be discerning with the ways that you communicate. And Mercury in Capricorn can definitely help you to do that. This is definitely a time to say that I can't continue like this. Here's what I need moving forward. This responsibility is shared, not just mine alone. You're rewriting emotional contracts. Emotions are strong here with Jupiter and Cancer. And they these issues could have been going on for a really long time. What have you been doing automatically? Good question to ask. What no longer works? What is no longer sustainable? What must shift for fairness within these power dynamics? Something else you can do to work with this constructively is to let these old emotional residues surface without shame, because shame is not going to help anything to stay in it, but you may have to name that feeling. And by seeing that and either voicing it to yourself or to whoever you pray to or in writing or whatever, this series of transits is definitely exposing these generational materials. These are scripts that have been going on for a long time. They're human scripts. They're ancestral scripts. So if you can let the energy move through you and not get stuck in the anger, that would be the most productive. And what is great about this time is that because of all of this cardinal energy, as I said, we've got cardinal, mutable, and fixed energies in astrology. The cardinal energies are the ones that are the signs that are at the beginnings of the seasons. So we've got 3 of those seasons, 3 of those energetics being represented very strongly here. And it's very much about letting it move through you, like starting the process and just letting it burst out, not getting stuck in it. Something you can do on a practical level is to make these practical changes that involve adjusting your schedule, taking a day off, restructuring how you're working, redistribute workload. Ask the question, are there certain things you actually don't even need to be doing, period? Working on some new agreements. And if you can't come to a finite agreement, then even making some sort of bridge agreement where you try some stuff on. You may want to also restructure your routines and see if it gives a little bit of space for the magic to come back. And the magic does want to come back. And we have some of the best flow of aspects coming here, as this tough spot progresses along. So there can be kind of very immediate positive responses after doing this work. Emotional reactivity is going to be a thing at this time, thanks to the cardinal energy, thanks to the Aries energy. However, the more you can move slowly, stay with your breath, and respond and not react, the less you will have secondary messes to clean up from the initial issue. Okay, something else that you can do is to use anger as information, not a weapon. All right, so informing about feelings, but not seeking to tear down. Like the quest of being united and on the same team with somebody may be a really good approach. So most of the time with these kind of energies as they flare, this is speaking about a situation where people are not on the same team, or there's this feeling of not being on the same team with someone who you really need to be on the same team with, a partner, someone else in your family, work people, that you're working for the same ends, not against them, and you're on each other's side. So this is an amazing time to see the ways that you're not on each other's side and to get to work on the same side, on the same team. There may be people in your life that stir your old wounds. This is a very huge realization that you may have right now, especially those of you who are consciously trying to work on your relationships with people by trying to not be as reactive to those people that drive you nuts. One very key thing that I have learned, maybe this will be true for you as well, there will come a point in your healing process where you actually have healed the situation, and that any other further reflection from that stirring is only locational, meaning you put yourself back into the situation with that person, and that person is always going to do that thing. But you don't have to interact with that person, or you don't have to share certain information with that person, or you can limit your time with that person if it's possible, so that you may be able to move on from it even though they're still doing the same thing, because there does come a point where the other person is just not going to change, and you have learned your lesson with it. And the best thing you can do is detach or take breaks from these people who are stirring these wounds. Jupiter retro bringing this ancestral activation, Chiron bringing this hypersensitivity. There may be those people that just always are going to push your buttons, and no matter how much inner work you do, you may not be able to be the Buddha that's sitting on the mountain, and that may be okay. That may be the realization that you have right now, is that you don't actually have to get to the point where somebody poking you with a stick feels good, and that you can stay neutral when somebody is physically hurting you or emotionally hurting you. or spiritually hurting you for that matter. This is an amazing time to do grounding work, body work, inner work, psychological and spiritual work. Capricorn affects the joints and the skeletal system. And Chiron is an overall wounded healer. So whatever your weaknesses are, those places where illness settles for you, those are the kind of things that are having come up from this energy. And you can also see that movement is going to help regulation at this time. Something else that you can do is to rebuild this internal safety. We cannot always control the things that are outside of us. This is going to be a time where you get to see that again, that no matter what you do, certain people are going to do certain things, and that is always going to bother you. But you can create rituals, protective defaults, self-regulating rituals or habits that help you to get what you need, regardless of the fact that the people outside of you may or may not do that. All right, so we've got bottom line energy signature at this time, this global mood. I'm done carrying more than my fair share. Fairness, support, a new structure can be born at this time. And we're speaking about the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual restructuring Capricorn with the emotional IQ of Cancer, with the boldness and fierce action of Aries. If you love my work, fantastic. Subscribe, like, add notifications so that you don't miss anything from me. Another way to not miss anything from me is to go to anniehelpsyou.com/astrology, sign up for my VIP Sweet and Salty Dates report, and you will get all of my content early. You won't miss anything from me. Also, you can bookmark anniehelpsyou.com/astrology, see all my podcasts and my videos there. If you want to see what's up in 2026 for you with my personalized reports, look at anniebclarity.com, Annie the letter B, clarity.com for 2 different personalized reports that I have for you. And if you love how I teach and you want to learn, you either want to do astrology as a profession or you want to do it for your soul and just to help the people close to you and yourself, you will love my astrology certification course. It is very detailed and I can help you reach your goals with astrology. You can go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. Look out for my next report coming soon about the sweet aspects that are going to be dominating the second half of January. Definitely check out my monthly reports for January. Those are individual videos for the month of January. When the February reports come out closer to February, you will see those in one video that's time-stamped, and you will get early access to that when you grab the free star report at anniehelpsyou.com. I hope that this is helpful to you to help make the most of understanding why everybody is so mad right now and staying safe and staying productive and using this time for the best purpose. Bye for now.